Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Vicente.
And this is Izzy.
And welcome back to the IV Podcast. And ladies and gentlemen, we are on our final Spider-Man movie with our Entering the Spider-Verse marathon. And what better way to end it with No Way Home? Now, like we said in last week's episode with Far From Home, is that this movie was going to be very different at first. You know, when Sony didn't want the Marvel to use Spider-Man anymore. It was just a whole big-ass mess. But thankfully, they worked out a deal. And holy crap, this is... If Across the Spider-Verse never happened, this is every Spider-Man fan's wet dream.
Yeah, this movie I feel was above and beyond anybody's expectations. And I mean, yes, we had spoilers, but if you didn't see any of the spoilers and you saw this first on screen with no trailers, it would have blown your mind.
But you see, but even then, I feel like even though we knew there were some spoilers, like leaked photos of Tobey and Andrew Garfield, and, you know, Willem Dafoe and all these other actors coming back to the franchise, even then I feel like you were still somewhat surprised.
Oh yeah, I think even if you knew they were coming in, they were amazing. Just seeing them back on screen as a Spider-Man fan and all the villains, it was just a calling to your childhood, honestly.
Seeing Tobey and everything. But I remember this movie had a lot of fans divided. You had one side to where they believed that Tobey and Andrew were really coming back. Because let's be honest, you're bringing back the villains from the other Spider-Man movies. Mm-hmm. You're going to bring back the other Spider-Man actors. There's just no way. But then, for some reason, you had another half of the internet that really believed that we weren't going to see Tobey or Andrew. And I'm not going to lie, in some way, I was kind of prepared if we weren't going to see Tobey or Andrew. I was excited. I was just excited for this movie in general. We were getting fucking William Dafoe back as Green Goblin and Alfred Molina as Doc Ock again and Jamie Foxx as Electro. We're getting a lot of people back, and it was just so cool. So whether or not Tobey and Andrew didn't appear in this movie, I still would have loved it just the same.
Yeah, same for me. I think it was just the cherry on top to have Tobey and Andrew come back for this movie, honestly.
And I know we're talking about Tobey and Andrew, but let's talk about Tom Holland a little bit too. Mm-hmm. Tom Holland did fucking good in this movie, and he finally becomes the Spider-Man that we know and love, which we'll talk about when we get to our positive list. Mm-hmm. But honestly, this is, I would say, and it doesn't hurt to say it, but this is my third favorite Spider-Man movie.
Your third favorite?
Yeah, and next week we'll go over a ranking of the Spider-Man movies. Yep. For a while, this was my second favorite, and Spider-Man 2 was my all-time favorite. But with Across the Spider-Verse, this Spider-Man 2 and No Way Home do have a lot of competition.
Yeah.
They were good. And people say that this movie was just fan service and nostalgia bait. No, it really isn't. Sure, yeah, we get the previous actors from the other movies, but even then, I feel like they serve a story. They serve a purpose in this movie, and not just, you know, bait.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. But yeah, they actually progress the story. They aren't just there for like cameos. They actually progress the story and have an importance in Tom Holland's story. Yeah,
and just when you think the villain stories are done from the other movies, they evolve. Every villain actually does serve a purpose. But Tom Holland, man, he made me happy, he made me angry, and he made me fucking sad in this movie. There's moments where I teared up, which I'll explain when we talk about Tom Holland and we talk about this movie in general. But for now, I would give this movie a 9.9 out of 10.
9.9.
Yeah, this is good. I mean, yeah, it's not perfect, but even then, or you don't know, it is perfect. It is perfect, because I have no negatives with it.
Yeah, for me, I give this movie a 10 out of 10. This movie, it just is perfect harmony with bringing the old with the new to the present, and it just sets up so much for the future in this franchise. It's beautiful.
And I'm very excited to see Tom Holland in his new trilogy whenever that comes out, because he's actually gonna be Spider-Man, no longer Iron Boy Jr. You know, and then we get introduced to the multiverse, which I think is a pretty fun thing. But now I just feel like the multiverse is overplayed. But this movie actually does the multiverse very, very good. Yeah. Just like Across the Spider-Verse as well.
Yeah, I think the multiverse is something that we just need more explaining on.
Yeah, and hopefully the MCU does a good job with it. Yeah. So yeah. Well, let's get into our positive list. So starting with our first positive, Tom Holland is at his best in this movie. Like I said, in the first two movies, Homecoming and Far From Home, he's always kind of been like Iron Boy Jr. somewhat, and it was very annoying. But in this one, he's playing Peter Parker. Like, this is Peter Parker from the comics. I would say his Peter Parker is probably the most comic accurate out of all the Spider-Man movies that we've had. And I'm saying as someone who loves Tobey Maguire and always thought for a while that his Peter Parker was the best representation of Peter Parker.
Yeah, for me, I think Tom Holland's Peter Parker had his story has changed so much from the past two movies to this one, and it just shows how much he's grown, and his maturity in this movie is greatly appreciated.
Yeah, and then especially when he's Spider-Man, like he can be a little dark, but that's what happens because Mysterio reveals his identity. Mysterio collapsed his world, and I'm glad that Marvel and Disney didn't pull back with any of the darkness, because they let Tom Holland go dark in this movie, whether it's beating the crap at a Green Goblin, wanting to kill him, straight up saying, I want to kill Norman, or just like emotional gut punches in this movie. And this movie kind of solidifies that Tom Holland can be dark if he wanted to. Another movie which I recommend is Cherry. He was very good in that. Yeah, that was a good one.
Especially if you like dark Tom Holland, that's the movie to watch.
Yeah, but Tom Holland, like, I would say, before I wouldn't say he was a bad Spider-Man, he just was someone like, but after this movie, holy crap, he gets my utmost respect, and I'm excited for his next trilogy, but Tom Holland, I'm glad that he's a new face of the MCU.
Yeah, his role in this next trilogy is going to be very important, I feel.
Yep, I agree. Alright, so starting off with our second positive is Charlie Cox returning as Daredevil, aka Matt Murdock. Izzy, how did you feel?
I mean, for me, I only knew very little. I knew of him, but I only knew very little. But I was really excited to see him in action, and his first taste back into the MCU was just great.
And it was always kind of weird because for a while we didn't know if the Netflix Daredevil series was actually canon. It was for a while, but then they kind of started playing around with the idea that it really wasn't canon, or it took place in its own little reality, just like all the Netflix shows like Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, The Punisher, and The Defenders. But the minute he appeared on screen, I was so happy, and I love Daredevil, and I'm going to admit it, I love the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie. I don't give a fuck what you haters say. I love that movie. I will defend it till the day I die. The R-rated cut is awesome. I've showed Izzy it. She loves Daredevil.
Yeah, Daredevil's great.
Yeah, but the show itself was better, of course. That's what you can do with Netflix money. But just seeing him return, and our theater actually applauded when he appeared on screen, and that was just so awesome. Granted, he's only in the story for a little bit, so it's just a fun little cameo, but it's nice to know that he's actually out there in the over-expanding MCU. So he is part of, even though he's street level, he is part of like this whole thing that the MCU is going for. So just to see him return was awesome. I'm glad they're not going to recast him.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to see what he's doing in the future with the MCU too.
Yeah, and I'm going to remain optimistic for his new Disney Plus show. I hope it's as good as, the Netflix series, but you know how Disney's going to do it, and they might make something light. But who knows, I've been surprised, like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they show someone getting decapitated, so who knows? Yeah. And now starting off with our third positive, the villains. I'm going to say Green Goblin for its own category, because I think he deserves it. But we get Doc Ock, Electro, Sandman, and the Lizard, and holy crap. They were all good. Each played a significant role. Granted, people like Lizard and Sandman had very little screen time, and we focus more on Jamie Foxx's Electro and Alfred Molina's Doc Ock and Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin. But even then, every villain serves a purpose. And, fun fact, the actors for Sandman and Lizard only voiced their characters because they had scheduling conflicts, so they weren't actually there. And so when you do see footage of them, it's this footage from the previous Spider-Man movies implemented in this movie. And you can tell with shots, like the one where they cure Sandman and where they cure Lizard. But everyone was good. I know Izzy... I'm going to let Izzy talk about Doc Ock in this movie because I know that's her favorite Spidey villain.
Yeah. Doc Ock, as you just said, Doc Ock was my favorite. He's always been my favorite Spider-Man villain. I love Green Goblin, but Doc Ock has my heart. But his role in this movie from the beginning to the end is just amazing. Even if it's just this one movie, he still has a character arc. He grows. He goes from being this evil, Spider-Man fixes him, and then he becomes this ally to them. And I just want to say, at the very end, when he meets with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's a nice reunion. It's like, because we were kids when Tobey was Spider-Man. We were kids, and so just to see that little throwback means a lot. And then Jamie Foxx's Electro, I want to talk about this. He got fucking redeemed. I'm sorry. I loved him in Amazing Spider-Man 2. Even when that movie was hated, he was always my number one positive. He's a great actor. Izzy will agree with that.
Yeah.
But just seeing him get a whole new makeover and a whole new design was just awesome. You know, people kind of bitched about it, but dude, come on. It's a fucking Spider-Man movie. Are we looking for realism in a Spider-Man movie? I mean, if you want to be realistic, look at when he got the gap in his teeth fixed in Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Exactly.
But yet you want to complain about him getting a body back. It doesn't matter. And then Sandman and Lizard, they played pretty good roles, you know, with the Lizard telling Tom Holland's Peter Parker that, you know, no matter how hard you try to fix us, we're always going to be the bad guys in your story. Mm-hmm. And with Sandman kind of being cautiously optimistic, and I love the actor for Sandman in general. I just think he's very underrated. He doesn't really get to talk a lot when we talk about Spider-Man villains in live action.
Yeah, Sandman's part in this movie, even though it's small, it's good because he's kind of like, I don't know, like chaotic neutral. Even though he's bad, his end goal is just to save his daughter.
Just to go home to his daughter.
Yep.
And there's a little theory that said that his daughter was dying and he just wanted to spend time with her. And that the reason why he's complete sand is because he's dying too. And he wants to spend the last minutes together. Yeah, so sorry if I broke your heart, guys.
That's so sad.
Oh yeah, and before I get on to our next positive, Ty, I just want to give you a shout out, man. I'm glad we're becoming close friends. And what's up, Riley? I hope you're watching this video, Riley. Me and Izzy say hi. What's up, Riley? What's up, Ty? I just want to get that shout out of the way. And starting off with our fourth positive, and I'm so excited for this. William Dafoe returning as Norman Osborn, aka the Green Goblin. Like I said in our Spider-Man 1 review, I couldn't wait to review more of Norman Osborn, William Dafoe. Mm-hmm. Holy fucking shit. This man was bonkers. This man... Ask Izzy how I looked when I saw the trailers and Green Goblin appeared, and in the movie, when he appeared on the bridge. Izzy, explain how I looked.
You look so excited and so happy to see him back on screen, and especially in some of his more intense scenes, you were so excited.
It's because, for me, I prefer Green Goblin over Thanos and Killmonger in the MCU. Because, yes, they're evil, but they have a goal, or they're doing it to make things better. Green Goblin doesn't. He's just fucking evil, and that's what I feel like a lot of villains today are missing is evil.
Yeah, I agree. He's just psychotic. He doesn't have a plan. He just does whatever he wants. He has no boundaries, and that's what makes him so scary. Is he has no morals. He has nothing holding him back. He just does whatever. And
this clip we're about to show right about now is when Tom Holland is beating the fuck out of him. He's just whooping his ass, and he's just laughing it off, shrugging like like that's scary. That the fact that Tom Holland was giving his all and that Norman was just laughing it off, he brings that intensity, and I love it. And the fact that this man is in a brand new universe and he's already talking about, let's conquer it, we can show this new universe and world, that's just scary. And William Dafoe will always go down as one of the greatest cinema villains of all time. One of them, not the best. I know we look at Heath Ledger's Joker and James Earl Jones's Darth Vader and Josh Brolin as Thanos, but I never see William Dafoe as Green Goblin brought up as at least one of the top 10 best cinema villains, because he truly deserves it. He goes into it. And fun fact, William Dafoe said he wouldn't do this movie unless he could do his own stunts. William Dafoe is like damn near 70, and he's out there whipping ass and doing his own stunts. So William Dafoe, man, you got a number one fan right here. I love you in anything Lighthouse, Psycho, or American Psycho, yeah. So William Dafoe is one of the... I was so happy when he returned, and just seeing him return to that role, and just... It's like an on and off switch. On, off. He was just back into it. It's as if he's never left that role. And I'm hoping that maybe there's a possibility he becomes an MCU Green Goblin. But if not, I would go for Matthew McConaughey. I think he could pull it off.
Yeah, I think it would be cool if he was in the MCU, but he's also getting up there, so I don't know.
Yeah, but we'll see.
Oh, yeah.
All right, and number 5 with our positive list is seeing how the public and people are, or just people close to Peter, how they are with him after his identity reveal. And this is something that a lot of the Spider-Man mythos have played with, especially Civil War with the comics, when Peter finally reveals his identity. And it's just interesting to see how this public, you have one side that believes Peter Parker, but then you have another that believes that he truly killed Mysterio and wanted the fame, that he's a complete psycho. And so I do appreciate seeing that. We see it in Spider-Man 1, we see it in Spider-Man 2, Not so much as in Spider-Man 3. Amazing Spider-Man 1, we see it too, but then the sauce. But just to see it come to fruition with the whole public either going against him or being on his side and seeing how his family and friends are being attacked as well, it's a nice little layer that not a lot of fans can appreciate.
Yeah, I agree. And I think this is, and because this is like the first movie to reveal that he is Peter Parker, it just shows how chaotic it can be.
Oh my god, yeah. You see people like attacking him on the street or just attacking his friends and family, just throwing bricks at them, or even the cops just harassing him. But, I'm pretty sure it feels nice to Peter to just like kind of not hide his identity, just kind of go do whatever. But at the same time, that puts your family at risk.
Yeah. I mean, just look at the school scene and how they literally had to have blockages just for that one high school.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that. The school, yeah, and then you have students treating them like a freak of nature.
And the teachers, oh my god, like the scene on the stairs where like two of the teachers agreed with what he was doing, and the other teacher was just so salty.
Yeah, he was just it was I think it was like the gym teacher. Yeah, the gym teacher from Homecoming, accusing him. Was like, man, you were on Spider-Man's and NUSTS in the first movie. Now you're against him. But it goes to show that Mysterio really messed up his world. And I appreciate that we still feel his effects. So if it wasn't for Mysterio revealing his identity, we never would have gotten this movie.
Yeah, I don't think this movie would be as intense if we didn't have this big drastic change.
Yeah, and that I can appreciate.
Yeah.
And number 6 on our positive list, the character is Ned, MJ, and Aunt May. Izzy, do you want to take with Ned or MJ?
I'll take MJ.
Okay, go ahead, take MJ.
Alright, so for MJ's character, I mean, she has been, I don't want to say she's been in the background, but from Far From Home, she started taking more of an important point, and in this movie, she takes an even bigger one.
Oh, yeah.
Her character development in this movie as being officially Peter Parker's girlfriend.
And being Mary Jane, of course, now.
Yes, Mary Jane.
A lot of theories that said she was Michelle Jones, a.k.a. White Tiger. But, I like to spin on Mary Jane. Continue.
Yeah. But her character in this movie has a lot more because of the attachment she has with Peter Parker. And now even before she was seen as something Peter needed protected, but now that she is officially his girlfriend, even more so.
Yeah.
And so she is always the one that Peter is protecting and making sure is safe apart from Aunt May. And it has a lot to do with the plot with this movie, especially at the end.
Oh, yeah, and that Zendaya and Tom Holland chemistry just perfect as always. And with the character of Ned, I like him. I think he gets a little bit of upgrade in this movie. He goes from being the guy in the chair to actually helping out in the final battle, gaining doctorstrange powers.
I think him finding his new magical powers is going to have a lot to do in the next few movies.
Hopefully, and fun fact, his character in the comics is actually the Hobgoblin. So, it'd be interesting to see if they actually take that route. I think maybe, but I'd be interested if they actually did.
I think...
just watching him be that lovable goofball to now kind of being like a little bit serious. Still a little goofball, but he gets a little bit more of a mature upgrade, just like everyone else in this movie.
Oh, yeah. I think seeing how his character is without Peter in his life is going to have a lot to do whether or not he's going to be Hobgoblin.
Oh, yeah. We'll just have to wait and find out. But Aunt May... holy crap. That was always kind of one of my nitpicks about Homecoming and Far From Home. I never really talked about it. But, like, for me and Izzy, she's always just kind of been like that hot aunt that everyone's just lusting over. And while it was funny with the memes, that's not who Aunt May is. Aunt May is that motherly figure to Peter Parker. She's that mom for everyone. And so we never really see her do justice, most notably with the actress. But the actress herself, I don't want to say her name because I'm pronouncing it hella badly. I know her first name is Marissa. We'll just call her Marissa. But Marissa goes to her full ability in this movie, and she reminds me of Rosemary Harris from Spider-Man 1, just that Tobey Maguire trilogy, because she's starting to be the Aunt May that we know.
Yeah, she's being that sweet aunt who's there to support Peter no matter what, while also giving him wise notes, and she's just really good in this movie.
And when she died, I was devastated. I had tears coming out. I told Izzy, how messed up would it have been if she got impaled and on the wall, impaled by the glider and stuck on the wall, like how Norman died in the first Spider-Man movie? That would have been some poetry crap right there. But it's nice to know that this whole cast finally gets to go just all out with their acting abilities, whether it's Flash Thompson, MJ, Ned, or Aunt May. I just appreciate that this trilogy in particular itself, not the MCU as a whole, but this Spider-Man Homecoming trilogy as itself just has like this great cast of characters that just have that natural chemistry and bond, and I love it and I'll always appreciate it.
Yeah, me too. This, especially with Aunt May, her character has grown so much in this movie, and to see her death, it just shows how impactful it was. And even though she wasn't a big character in the last two movies, in this movie, you really feel the death.
Oh, God. Like I said, I was just fucking bawling my eyes. I was sad. All right. And number 7 on our positive list, the return of Andrew Garfield. Now, like me and plenty of other Spider-Man fans, we've wanted this man to get his redemption. Whether it was saving MJ from falling or Amazing Spider-Man 3, Andrew Garfield he's that middle child that doesn't get a lot of love. But his role in this movie is just perfect.
Yeah, for me, I will have to say that was my first time really watching Andrew Garfield on screen. But I did go back and watch it, and I will say it has redeemed his character so much. And even though his part in this movie was little, it impacted the story a lot, and I loved all his quirkiness in this movie.
Yeah, Izzy's never seen the Amazing Spider-Man movies before No Way Home, and so when we rewatched the Amazing Spider-Man duology, she loved it. She's like, now I can see why people really wanted this character to be redeemed. And with all this shit Andrew Garfield went through with Sony, and like how the Amazing Spider-Man 2 just had this BS studio interference, it sucks. And so I was surprised when Andrew Garfield was like in this movie. Granted, he couldn't confirm if he was in the movie, and there's like this whole joke saying that he was in the movie. Yeah, okay, so the whole joke, Andrew Garfield is saying that he wasn't the werewolf, that he wasn't in this movie, but like we kept seeing leaked images, so his return, even though I kind of figured that he was going to return, I loved it. I really did. And so, yeah, I love his role in this movie.
Yeah, his role in this movie played a lot, and I really enjoyed having him in the movie.
Yeah, and so, and he finally gets redeemed when he saves MJ from falling down. Granted, I kind of wish we had a flashback scene of him trying to save Gwen, but all in all, I'm glad he finally got that redemption, and I'm still waiting on Amazing Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, I hope we get that soon.
Come on, Sony, you know you want to. You know you make a lot of money. Alright, and number 8 on our positive list, the return of Tobey Maguire. Now, I was happy. I was excited. Even though I seen leaked photos, everyone did. It still surprised me because you can easily Photoshop a lot of stuff. But a lot of signs were pointing to Tobey Maguire returning as, his version of Peter Parker and Spider-Man. But the minute he came out of the portal that Ned did, me and everyone that grew up with Tobey Maguire fucking applauded in that theater. I applauded for Andrew Garfield, don't get me wrong, but when Tobey Maguire appeared and returned, I was clapping, cheering, I was going nuts. And his role in this movie is kind of like an Uncle Ben type of character, to where he's giving advice to the other Peter Parkers, and then I love the scene where he's explaining how Uncle Ben's death was his fault, and just seeing how he was in the beginning of his trilogy to now, I would say he's pretty evolved.
Yeah, I really like your comparison to Uncle Ben, because he really is the Uncle Ben to Andrew and Tom. It just shows all his expertise with the character, and it's such a sweet, any moment he has in this movie is just great.
Yeah, and the scene we're about to show you right now, when Tom is about to kill the Green Goblin and Tobey stops him, I look at that as like Tobey telling his past self, don't do it, because once you go down that killing road, you're gonna keep killing, or you're gonna keep going down that road. And I love how it's a little bit of Raimi symbolism too, because like I said in that Raimi trilogy, that there's a lot of messages that I love, and for me, I look at that message as one of us telling our past selves, let go of that bullshit, let go of that anger, because if you do what you're gonna do, you're just gonna F up your life even more. And so just having Tobey Maguire as like that Uncle Ben, Big Brother type of character, I loved it, and I thought he fucking died when he got stabbed. My heart was broken. Izzy looked at me, and I had tears coming out. I was like, fuck, they really killed him. If you're going to kill Tobey Maguire, don't do it, Marvel. I swear to God, I will hunt you guys down.
Don't you dare.
Nah, don't, Kevin Feige, don't do it. If Tobey were to pass on in the movies, I would say do it in Secret Wars, or a Spider-Man 4 type of Logan movie.
Yeah, I would want it to be in a heroic way, or even in like a neighborhoodly Spider-Man way.
Yeah, one to where like he saves a kid but sacrifices, like he gets shot or something, kind of like Ultimate Spider-Man, how we died in his Ultimate Marvel in that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, seeing Tobey Maguire return, perfect, and I felt like a kid all over again. And Izzy mentioned it, the scene where we get Doc Ock and Tobey Maguire's version just talking. It's basically them talking to us, like saying, "Oh, you're grown up now," and I loved it. And I'm gonna say this right now. I'm gonna attack my mom in this part. I'm gonna clip it. But Mom, as a kid, you showed me the Tobey Maguire trilogy, and because of you, I fell in love with Spider-Man and the comics and just that story itself. And it was a character I looked up to because I got bullied. And so, I'm trying not to cry. So when me and Izzy took you to see No Way Home, I know you've always said that Tobey Maguire will always be Spider-Man, and that's true, But just taking you to see that movie was a way to was kind of like when you and Dad took me, and when Tobey Maguire appeared, you had this biggest smile on your face, and because I'm pretty sure it brought back memories of when you took me as a kid. But just sharing that moment with you was just so awesome, and I'm glad No Way Home did it. I'm glad Marvel, Sony, and Kevin Feige just did that moment, because you brought a special moment to when I was a kid seeing Tobey on the screen, and now I get to see him on the screen again with my mom as an adult, and I just loved it.
Yeah, I think, and I was there seeing that moment between them, and it was a beautiful moment, and it just meant so much between them.
Yeah, like I said, I'm getting a little emotional. All right, so let's move on. All right, and number 9 on our positive list, all the 3 Spider-Mans just bonding in the final battle. I love the way they're bonding, whether it was just them before the big fight, just talking about how their web situation, because Tobey Maguire is the only version of Spider-Man that can shoot webs out of his wrist organically, while Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland have to use a web shooter, web fluids. And it was a cute little moment just seeing their banter, and they felt like actual brothers.
Yeah, I love how Andrew's so interested in it, and Tom Holland's just like, yeah, it's cool. And just their chemistry between each other is just amazing. I think my on-character scene with them talking is when they're in the lab, and then my favorite visual cinematic video is whenever they're swinging together. They're
swinging together with that one shot we're going to show right now, where Tobey lands first, then Andrew, then Tom, and it represents it because Tobey came first, and then Andrew came second, and then Tom Holland finally. Maybe one day in the future we'll get another version of Peter Parker, and maybe we'll get another scene just like that. But for now, and it felt natural. And fun fact, that Tobey Maguire, Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield actually have a group chat, and he still uses it to this day. I was watching a podcast episode the other day, and Tom Holland said, yeah, they all still keep in contact. I think it's called the Spider Bros or something. Yeah, and they went to go see the Spider-Verse movie together and everything. And so just seeing them bond like that is just awesome. And I know Tobey Maguire gets a bad rep because people only see him getting irritated with the paparazzi, but in reality, he's a nice dude. I've heard actual fan stories that said that, and these are just fans that met him, and he was nice. And he went on a quote and said that he just doesn't like the paparazzi, and I don't blame him. And with Andrew Garfield kind of being that middle child, he gets enough love. Everyone gets love in this movie, and I love it. And the final battle is just a cinematic masterpiece in itself. It reminded me a lot of Endgame, not on that type of scale, but just seeing everyone fighting, just seeing Tobey going against Kirk Connors as the Lizard. Granted, I wish we would have seen his version of Kirk Connors become the Lizard. Seeing Electro be fucking powerful. Sandman being the giant sandstorm, and Green Goblin.
Yeah, I think just seeing the past meet with the present and just make this beautiful movie just is amazing.
Yeah, and kudos to Kevin Feige. I know that man tried his best to keep this a secret, but man, oh man, you gave us one of the best scenes and best parts of the movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right, and so number 10 on our positive list, Peter saying goodbye to MJ and Ned. This was another tearjerker that actually made me cry. Because it's hard, because Peter didn't, when the spell with Doctorstrange, as we saw, that he wanted to erase everyone's memory of him being Spider-Man, but in doing so, people would forget that he was Peter Parker. But when he finally has to accept that if they do the spell, everyone has to forget, because the multiverse is collapsing, because of the spell that Green Goblin, he broke the box, the multiversal box, And it's just so tear-jerking because he's only getting these few minutes to say goodbye. And this is like some good acting, even for MCU standards.
Oh, yeah. And I think, imagine only having like 5 minutes to say goodbye to your friends, to your mentors, to your girlfriend. That has just have to be like such a sad moment and so hard. But that just shows how good their acting is and how much their friendship is behind the screen.
Yeah, and I know Izzy teared up a little bit when Peter finally said goodbye to MJ, and it sucks. And in the scene where he goes to her donut shop, and like he wants to tell MJ and Ned about who they are, but would they believe him? And that's the thing that sucks, is that he loves them, but at the same time he has to let them go.
Yeah.
And it's so tear-jerking. It sucks, and it's making me emotional right now. It sucks, but like I said, that's what's making Tom Holland a good Spider-Man and Peter Parker, because that's something that he would do. And it just sucks that it was only for 5 minutes, basically, essentially.
Yeah.
And everyone was just gone from his life. Granted, we see MJ wearing the necklace that Peter gave her from Far From Home. Now, I'm going to be honest. Would I want Zendaya and the actor for Ned to come back? I wouldn't be opposed to it, but at the same time, I feel like their stories are just perfectly wrapped up, that you should just leave those characters alone for now. Don't bring them back right away, because then it kind of like, I want that impact still there. Maybe you can bring them back in 5 or 6 or something. Make us miss those characters. You know, let Peter grow into his own person first before we reintroduce him. That way we can get introduced to the MCU version of Gwen Stacy, or even Felicia Hardy. Just a different love interest for now.
Yeah, I agree. I think seeing Peter with a different group of friends would be really interesting. And
like Harry Osborn.
Yes.
Something, you know.
So I think having them would be great. Definitely should wait. I think we might see Ned, especially after him getting his powers. But would he remember him getting magical powers?
Yeah, but we'll see about that.
Yeah.
And now, on our last positive, he's no longer Iron Boy Jr. He's finally the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And this is what I said about him saying goodbye. He has to let them go, because he sees how good their life is. No drama, no Peter Parker bullshit. And that's something that we see Spider-Man do in the comics. Or if you're not a comic person, we see it in the movies too, with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield.
Yeah.
Well, just mostly Tobey. Andrew Garfield broke his promise. But he lets them go for the greater good. And he's finally a loner. And that scene to where he enters his new apartment and just sees nothing but loneliness. But he finally becomes his own independent hero. And we get one of the best looking Spider-Man suits of all time. Probably the most comic accurate. And it's just perfect. He's finally Spider-Man. He's finally out of Tony Stark's shadow. And I love it. And this is what I mean by, I can forgive Far From Home for as many Tony Stark connections, because this movie rectifies those mistakes. And I never had a problem with him having Iron Man as a mentor, but it's the fact that Spider-Man's his own hero. And even in the comics, for people that don't read the comics, Spider-Man has always been kind of a loner. And there's a fun fact, at one point in the comics, in the older comics, the Avengers did give Spider-Man a tryout, but they said that he had to take out the Hulk. But then Spider-Man found out that Bruce Banner was the Hulk, and he wasn't trying to hurt anyone. And he said, no, I'm not going to do it. So that's a fun little fact about the comics.
Interesting.
But it's nice to see Spider-Man finally be an independent hero that he should have been in the beginning.
Yeah, I think seeing him finally alone by himself, it just shows how much his character has grown. And I think it's going to be great for the future, because we get to see Peter Parker be Peter Parker by himself, no other support. Him just be him as Spider-Man.
Yeah, we get to see him work with J. Jonah Jameson again,
Oh, yeah.
played by J.K. Simmons, so we'll get plenty of more memes, I hope. But I hope we get introduced to some new characters. You know, like I said, I want to see Harry Osborn in this universe. I want to see Gwen Stacy in this universe. I want to see different cast and characters of the Spider-Man lore. But Izzy said it in our rewatch that this is a dark... This is such a bittersweet ending. Like, it's good, but it's so sad. It's like Empire Strikes Back. It's like Across the Spider-Verse in terms of ending. It's just so sad, but you're also, like, rooting.
Yeah, I was not... When I watched this movie for the first time, I wasn't expecting it to be as dark. But I honestly really liked it for the story, and I think it sets up his character to be this dark loner person for the next trilogy.
And I appreciate that. Oh, another positive I want to add is Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. You know, he doesn't really play a mentor type of role, just someone that's trying to help Peter out. And granted, he's not in the movie as much, but he still does what he's good at, and that's just being a badass Doctor Strange. So yeah, he only was in it for a little bit, but I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, even though he's in it only for a little bit, he still plays a good part. You still love a little Doctor Strange in your movie.
Oh yeah, and I'm gonna go on record. I love Multiverse of Madness. You know, I will go on record and say, if you don't like it, oh well, boo, fuckity hoo. Yeah. Oh, and then we're gonna see Tom Holland with the symbiote suit, and with how depressed and sad and angry he is, damn, he's gonna be a scary symbiote Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That's gonna be scary.
I think he's gonna take over the streets.
You think so?
I think he might.
You know, and rumor has it that he's gonna team up with Daredevil and take down Kingpin in his next movie. So fingers crossed.
That would be really cool.
All right, and that's gonna wrap it up for our No Way Home review. It's my third favorite Spider-Man movie, and to me, it's perfection.
Yeah, this movie is definitely in my top 3, and is great.
Yeah, I love it. You know, to me, it's one of the best MCU trilogies in that whole franchise.
Yeah, this movie, I don't want to say it's the best Spider-Man trilogy, but it's definitely one of the best.
Yeah, it's, you know, first Iron Man, and then Captain America, then Guardians, and then Spider-Man.
Yep.
Yeah, and then next week we're going to finally end the Spider-Verse marathon with our ranking of the Spider-Man movies with a special announcement of what movies we're going to cover next. And I'm very excited, along with the season 1 ending announcement, because, you know, we have a lot of things going on with our wedding planning and everything and our honeymoon, but best believe that we're still going to put out some great content.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to see what you guys think.
Yep. All right, that's going to do it for this episode. And as always, take care of others, be good to yourselves, and take care of your mental health. And we'll catch you in the next episode. Peace out, everyone.
Bye, guys.